And last, return to play guidelines. Strength-wise, we want to achieve the goal of bilateral comparison of less than 5 pounds in difference. Range of motion shouldn't be more difference than 5 degrees. Functional activity, we want to get them back to the keeper drills with soccer ball size progression. We're going to start with small ball, then with heavier balls to impose heavier load on there. Then we have return to practice, return to scrimmage, then in the end, full return to play. But keep doing preventive exercise. Conclusion, during this study, there's a few points we want to address on. Mechanism prevention. The mechanism of this injury was using the inappropriate ball, so that way kicking by a dot generated too much force that a teenager's bone can handle, resulting in the fracture. And then surgical decision, apparently it's important. If you want better recovery rate, definitely you want to go with surgical repair. Radiographic monitoring is very important in the phase of the rehabilitation because we want to use that to monitor his healing process and also the status of his scar tissue, so we know where and how to progress them. Then progressive range of motion and load come to recover faster. Psychological preparedness is always important, so he will not have a strong flashback and frame from first competition. And last, there's preventative exercises. I didn't hear my references. A little bit long. And there we go. Any questions?
Does injuries such as a mid-forearm fracture, are there any restrictions that the athlete should have before or as they kind of go back to full activity, other than decreasing the resistance? Let me rephrase that. Does this injury put them at greater risk for having this injury happen again?
Possible, because the bone cleaning process takes a long time. It could take years. Even if we can return him to play after 2 to 3 months, but after that, that's why we still have to have him do preventative exercise. So that way, we can keep stressing the bone, keep everything growing stronger, keep it adapt to the heavier load, and try to prevent further injury in that manner.
Are we only working on the psychological preparedness during the last stage when we're returning to play?
Yes, we designed it that way because during the return to play exercise or sport-specific exercise, we try to have him repeat some of his daily drills before injury, such as saving a goal or stopping a ball with his hand or throwing a ball with his hand. And these exercise or activities would definitely recall him of some of his past thing happened to his forearm. So that we want to start small with little resistance and progress as he feel more comfortable about it, and eventually reach a status where he feel comfortable facing the other opponent team on the field.
I noticed, I can't remember when it was, but there was some time close to after you were talking about the surgery, it said cast 1 to 2 weeks, but then later on you said you'll take the cast off after 8 weeks. Are these two different kinds of casts or mobilization techniques?
For the splint, it's majorly, the posterior splint is majorly used for his comfort, to make him feel better. So the cast was used to keep the fracture site safe and for protection. Cast is required, and the splint is more like his own preference.
Did you do any balance or proprioceptive exercises for the upper extremity?
I do not do any balance exercise for the upper extremity because that does not fit very well in the rehab process. But for proprioception wise, we did some motor training with his hand and with his upper body. So that way he moves his limb in a more efficient way in a proprioception training method, but not necessarily balance on his upper extremity.
Do you suggest for this age group to not play with size 5 soccer balls?
Yes, because according to the study, size 4 soccer ball is recommended for teenagers because they have smaller size and also weight less. So that way it creates less impact on the parts of human body, being a protective equipment or protective protocol against teenagers.
Can you start full weight bearing, or partial weight bearing, or just even weight bearing exercises earlier in the progression to have a more aggressive treatment plan, or is it supposed to be full weight bearing in the later stages?
It totally depends on the healing process. As we said, we use radiography to keep track. The major determinants of this question are going to be his healing process. From the radiography, we want to know how good his bones are healing, and has he had adequate range of motion and the strength to do that. Majorly depends on the radiograph reading.
I may have missed it if you mentioned it, but was there any time during that rest phase where he was completely immobilized in the cast that you trained the opposite arm, trying to get any results in?
Yes, we've been having him use the other leg to do his daily activity, using the same arm, doing some isometric to prevent atrophy. That would definitely have some cross-education from the other arm and isometric exercise to prevent atrophy, but also that will work on the neuromuscular control at the same time.
Are you taking an x-ray every week or only at the beginning of each phase?
Depending on how aggressive you want to go with our rehabilitation, but every time we plan to progress, we need to examine with x-ray or radiography first to make sure we don't harm the healing process for them. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.